Hello and welcome back to the Get Together. Thank you for joining us. I am Alyssa.
I'm Stacy.
And today we're talking about friendship. We did research. Stacy got some stats.
Got some stats.
We're practically professionals at what we're doing here.
You know, we had our little pilot episode and we learned some things, right? To not eat the mic.
We learned that.
What else did we learn?
I learned that I had to layer a lot of things to edit. We have like 5 or 6 of this same exact video, just in different audio/video forms.
We'll definitely
Big tech is not my
get better
strong
at this.
suit. I'm more of like
There's probably way more easier ways to do things, but we will find them eventually.
I just can't, like, I want somebody so badly to be listening to this and just be like, y'all are so stupid.
Well,
it's so easy. All you
some
have to do is this.
Some people are gifted at certain things.
It ain't me.
I can take photos and
I can keep children alive.
But let's get into this. I think today we definitely wanted to start out with our first episode talking about friendship because why not? That's one of the reasons we started this podcast.
It is the foundation of this podcast.
And the foundation of life. That's not.
I feel like
true.
so far that accent has been in the intro of every video. It's who we are, you know? You can't stop it. You can't quit it.
Every time.
Every time.
It works 60% of the time.
Works every time. All right. Well, let's hop into it. I'm going to let you take the lead on this because you had some questions and an outline, if you will.
I figured we would introduce ourselves because even in our pilot episode, I don't think we really even explained who we are to people who wouldn't know us.
That's true.
My name is Stacy, as I said earlier. I'm married to a handsome man named Brian.
He is handsome. I don't know why we're laughing.
We're not laughing because he's not handsome. I have 4 children. We have...
I pulled something in my bag.
Are you okay?
I'm like crooked right now.
Situate yourself. Do you need to move this chair? It's a weird position.
This dynamic is... I hope you can hear the squeaking happening with this chair right now.
This is the office chair, but it's seen its day.
We're in a new location, too. We have chairs this time,
We have chairs?
actually. I meant to say that because before we were in the floor.
I'm not sure if y'all could hear that, but one of our kids was screaming.
We're at Stacy's house this time, and we were just talking about the fact that she doesn't know what it is, but she said it's always chaos when her nieces and nephews are here. It's chaos when my kids are here.
I think
That was Evelyn.
That was Evelyn?
I think so. Maybe it was Bennett. I don't know.
It sounded like Bennett to
They
me, but
sound
their
the
voices
same.
are similar.
Oh my gosh.
One of the 2 little ones said, "Can y'all be quiet?" Well, so I'm Stacy again.
Back to your handsome man.
My handsome man, Brian. And then we have 4 kids. Our oldest 2 are my bonus daughters or stepdaughters, bonus daughters. Peyton and Kendall. Then we have Nora and we have Bennett. So then my main job that I homeschool my kiddos, and then I am a photographer. I'm a photographer.
Yes, you are.
That's what I do.
My name is Alyssa. I, too, am married to a different handsome man. His name is Kenneth. He runs multiple businesses, which are fairly new, so we're trucking along in life there. But I, too, have 4 children, or me and Kenneth have 4 children. Wyatt, Leona, Hazel, and Evelyn. I, too, homeschool. That's a fairly recent development as well. We're only in our 2nd year of that, and it's going. I will say that. We were just talking earlier about how we haven't done school at all this week because, like, one day the kids kind of felt off and I was like, "Rawr." Another day I was like, I just need to clean the house. So it is going. We did do
Well, yeah.
flashcards in the car on the way here, though. So,
Everything counts.
we're winning. We're doing so well. I feel like I'm in like an 80s jacket with like shoulder pads right now, the way I'm sitting.
That's how I felt yesterday. I did arms at the gym, and when I went to go back downstairs, I was like, I felt really,
I got a good pump.
I felt swole.
So swole.
But I felt really boxy walking down the stairs.
Aside from that, I mean, I too am a photographer.
You're a
hate
photographer.
saying it.
Why?
I don't know. I've had trouble
You are
with
a
that
photographer.
for literally years.
That's another podcast topic. You got to
ain't
believe in
lying.
yourself.
You just gotta believe.
I believe in you.
Thank you.
And you're very talented.
I'm trying.
You have to believe in yourself.
I'm trying. I know. You sound like Kenneth now.
You just have to say it.
You guys love me so much.
Say it with me. I am
I am
a photographer.
a photographer.
And I
And I
am talented.
am talented. You're doing it, Peter.
You're doing it.
Okay. All right. But, I mean, that's who we are.
That's who we are. We are both photographers, and we both homeschool our kids. We're basically the same person.
Yeah.
How long have we been friends?
17, 18 years-ish. Along those lines. It's been a while. And saying that out loud makes me realize how dadgum old we're getting.
Our friendship is an adult.
I remember, like, when I was a kid, my parents being like, oh, we've known them for 20 years. I was like, how do you know somebody for 20 years? Here we are.
So we met at a church that we were both attending, but funny thing is our families knew each other basically since we were babies.
Yes.
Would you say? So you
At
went
least
to-
childhood, because I grew up in the same church my whole life.
Right.
And you did too.
Me did too.
And they were both...
Me did too.
in, me did too.
Me.
Me swole arms. Me too.
Me swole arms. Me too.
Okay.
Continue. You were
Anyways,
saying?
the churches that we both grew up in were Assemblies of God churches. It's like a tight-knit group, and they have like districts. And so both of our churches were in the North Texas district. And so the churches in the AG would get together and do a lot of the same things, have a lot of the same programs, and people would go and speak at a lot of the same churches. But your grandparents were super active in the AG.
Yes.
And so the church that I grew up in, everybody knew her grandparents. Everybody knew the Pierces. I actually knew your dad before you, and you knew my dad before me.
I knew
which
your dad.
was funny. But her dad would come and do worship sometimes for the church that I grew up in. How did you know my dad first?
Well, at the CLC, the church that we went to,
okay.
the church we met, they started coming first before you came.
That's true.
And
remember that now.
I remember one of the first interactions with your dad. I had a nose piercing, and he came up to me and he was like, "When did you get that nose piercing?" I was like, "Well, I don't even remember when I got it, but he was asking me because you had been asking him to get one, and you were
Yes.
only 17 at the time."
Yes, because my plan was to join the Air Force after high school.
Okay.
And I had always wanted a nose piercing, and he could not wrap his head around that. He was like, why? And I was like, for no other reason than I've always liked them. I think they're cool, and I would like to have one before I can no longer have one in the military. And he was like, okay. He finally gave in.
Well, I paved the way for that before
Thanks.
I knew you. You're welcome.
Well, then I didn't even get in. That's a whole nother story.
But you did pierce your nose.
I did pierce my nose, and then it never left my face. It never got into the Air Force, but I've got my piercing.
I think I've pierced my nose 3 times.
Ow. The same spot? You just keep opening?
No, actually.
Oh,
Once on this side and twice on this side.
wow. I was looking at my lip ring hole today,
Oh,
and I was
yeah.
like, I kind of want to do that again, but I won't.
I don't think I will.
Yeah. I had it for what? We did that around the same time, too.
Yeah. Back in our golden years.
In our wild and rebellious youth. Not really. I don't think I was
weren't
ever
that
really
rebellious.
rebellious.
So yeah, we met. We were actually, I was closer to your sister at the time. I feel like kind of we hit it off, and then
Well, you and Audrey are closer in age, right?
yeah,
Y'all are only
think
2
so.
years apart.
right, and we're
We're-
5.
Yeah. Which is funny. So, like she said, when we met, she was closer with my sister Audrey, and her best friend Alethea. Her and I were hanging out a lot at the church.
Yeah,
And then I don't remember what happened exactly, but I rode with you to go eat after church one night. I don't even remember what we talked about, but I do know that we laughed a lot. And then
Yeah.
from that moment on, I feel like we just
we just clicked.
were always hanging out. Man, weird times.
Weird times.
I'm super grateful for them.
Me too.
But yeah, that's why in one of the first kind of, not the actual podcast we tried to record, but kind of our little test run, we were sitting in the bed.
Oh yeah,
We were we were laughing about the fact that I was still in high school when we met, and she was like, "You were?" Because yeah, I was only 17, 18, and you were 20, whatever, 17 plus 5
plus
is.
5. I just remember I had always been under the impression that you had already graduated, but you had already graduated when we got close.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Because, well, from that point, we did live together for a period of time.
With our friend Joni, who we will be adding to this,
Yeah.
or bringing on as
Oh
a
my
guest.
gosh, I forgot about that house.
Yeah,
Oh my gosh, that was like a whole
That was-
lifetime.
that was fun.
That was crazy. And
Yeah.
Andrea,
Oh, and then we lived together later
yes, at the lake. That was cool. That was fun times.
in some apartments.
There was a time though where we were living together, working together, and going to church together. So
And
we
doing
were
everything together.
literally never apart.
We would ride together to work, right?
Yeah.
And there were so many days that we walk out of our rooms and we were wearing the exact same thing. And we'd be like, "Do you want to change?"
Nah.
Nah.
I mean, it was a photography studio, like all black. You know, like
Those were the days though when you did wear a tank top underneath the shirt, you know, the little peekaboo color.
oh my gosh, yeah, the layers were real big in
Layers.
the 2000s. Oh goodness. Well, moving on.
Moving on, our friendship bloomed from there. We were instantly bonded.
It's true,
By
and it
friendship.
never went away.
I'm thankful for that.
Me too.
Would you say our relationship has changed over the years, or do you think we've just gotten stronger?
I would say it changed zero in the way that we click and connect, but it did change the amount of time, obviously, that we spend together. They are breaking down the door. I would say it changed in just the dynamic of it, in the sense that we don't see each other all the time. We obviously don't live together. That would be miserable for our husbands. But it's like every time that we get back together, it's like
Yeah.
nothing has changed. So it's changed, but it also hasn't changed at all.
Yeah. I'd say it's strengthened because we've seen each other through some things.
Yeah.
Some hard
for
things,
sure.
some really tough things. In the beginning, we saw each other through some relationships. And I don't know, we've seen each other through all sorts of stuff.
Multiple boyfriends,
Yeah.
and then saw each other through engagements and marriages and all the children and everything in between, I guess.
I'm thankful for you.
I'm thankful for you.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you just meet those friends that you click with and just feels like you've been friends forever. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's kind of how I felt when I met my husband.
Yeah.
It's like you just kind of know, and then you just feel like you've known them for your whole life.
Yeah.
I have a question for you.
Okay.
Are you still friends with your very, very, very first best friend?
I am.
Yeah,
What about you?
I am.
Yeah. I okay, well with that being said, like would you say that dynamic has changed over the years? Or is it
I think I don't. That's another thing too. Like you said, it's like when you get together with that friend, you it's like no time has passed.
Mm-hmm.
And my very first best friend, I have a couple. I have one from kindergarten, and we still talk. And I think that dynamic of friendship has changed a little bit just because we've gone, like, she lived in another state for a while, and our lives have kind of taken us, separate directions, but we still are friends,
Yeah.
And then my friend Elena, who I hope will join us, she also has a podcast. I think she said she wanted to be in a couple episodes.
That'd be fun.
It would be fun. Our parents grew up together.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes. And then we grew up together. So it's a third generation. I think our grandparents as well. So we were born knowing each other.
We were born to be friends.
We were born to be friends. So it's a family situation. It feels like she'll always be a part of my life, and she'll always be one of my best friends. What about you?
So Bethany is her name, and she is like the earliest friend that I remember having. Besides, we had some family friends like that too that were really close, but his name was Matthew. And I mean, obviously boy-girl friendships don't last a whole lot longer past adolescence usually, but Bethany, I met her before we both turned 5, because we celebrated our 5th birthdays together. And so the church that I grew up in, her family came to be the pastors of that church very early in my life, and her and I just kind of hit it off, and we were like inseparable all the way, through middle school up into high school. But of course, like, we grew up and went separate ways. But again, it was the same kind of thing. Is like, she moved all the way to New York at one point, and she's back in Texas now. But it was one of those things, like, you grow up and you move apart and you don't really talk. But then when you get back together, it's like no time has elapsed and it's all the same. So yeah, I have one of those early and still going friendships. She has a little boy now too, and so she's always sending me Snapchats of him, and they like make my day because all my kids are bigger, and he's like he's cutest adorable thing. Oh my gosh. So I told her one day, I was like, don't stop sending me the snaps. I need them all.
I actually knew Bethany before I knew you.
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So crazy. So our lives were intertwined for like ever before we actually met. Which, that's how me and Kenneth were too. Kenneth knew more people from my high school than I knew. And then he was best friends with my cousin, and I never met him until after high school.
Yeah.
So that's crazy in itself.
Everyone's connected in some...
It's a small world.
Warm way.
Did you say warm way?
My words are... I don't even
warm
understand.
And cozy, like friendship.
What would you say is a good friend? The definition of a good friend.
I would say someone who loves you enough to tell you the truth. Yeah. Specifically, like, if I'm being an idiot about something, I need somebody to come tell me that in love, and not just cast their judgments like, hey, you're being stupid. But coming from the right person, you can say, like, you're being stupid about this, or you're being an idiot about this. You need to reassess, take a step back and reassess. So I think a good friend is somebody who you can be friends with, as in, like, go out, have fun, do whatever you do, but also kind of hold you accountable in a lot of things.
Sure.
Would you have a different definition?
No, I would say the same. I'd say someone who's going to be encouraging to you, but also straightforward with you, and kind of be like, hey, what's going on? I've noticed this.
Yeah.
Like, help you in any way. I don't know, just someone who's going to be an encouraging person in your life, to build you up.
Yeah.
And not to tear you down.
Yeah.
Someone who's going to be for you. And be excited when things go your way.
Yeah.
Like, hey, that's...
Ooh, that's true,
like,
because...
someone's going to rejoice with you rather than be jealous if
Yeah.
something were to happen really great for you and not for them. Like
Right.
someone who's going to be, you know,
Basically somebody to celebrate with you
yeah,
instead of
celebrate
speak
life.
against you or yeah, that's good.
You are that for me.
You're that for me too. I will celebrate you.
Did you know that adults 65 and older are more likely to have 5 or more close friends than younger adults? Why is that?
65 and older? Well, the older I get, the more I realize less matters,
Yeah.
if that makes sense. So definitely people 65 and over understand that. Like the things that we worry about now really don't matter. What matters is relationships and people. So I think people who have lived life and are 65 and over, they just kind of get it.
Yeah.
But also, they
that-
probably have a good grasp of who they are as a person, and so do the people around them. So it's like
Right.
easier to find common ground with everyone.
Yeah, that's a good point. Because that's, to me, that sounds like a good number.
Yeah.
That's,
Well, I'm 35, and I think I have like you and my husband are probably the closest people to me. Like I don't talk to anybody anymore.
well, do you think some of it could be because of social media and how the culture has changed quite a bit? Because I feel like sometimes we feel like we don't need to talk to people. We already know what they're
Oh,
up
that's
to.
true. Yeah.
Because we see them on social media.
So we still kind of feel connected to them, even
Right.
if we're not.
So we feel less likely to get together with them because,
Yeah.
you know, we kind of already know what they're doing and we know they're good. We know they're okay.
Yeah, I
and
was
we
gonna
love
say that's
them.
kind of like it's like a good thing because you still feel connected to people, but it's also a
Right.
bad thing because then you're not
You're disconnected.
deeply connecting with
Yeah.
them. You're just like seeing the surface level. That makes sense.
Yeah. Let's get back to being.
Deeply connected.
Let's get together.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Why don't you and I come back?
Come with us.
Gosh.
Let me see. There are only modest differences in the number of close friends men and women have. So basically, it's about the same.
Friendship is not gender discriminatory.
Wow. That's a good word.
I don't even know if that's a word. I feel like I made it up.
Discriminatory.
I can't even say it now. I said it discriminatory.
Discriminatory.
What I mean is, friendship does not discriminate between genders. Both men and women have equal amounts of friends. Are these good type friends or are these like big old circle friends?
It doesn't say.
Because here's my thing. When you're young, you like want to be liked by everybody. You're like, oh, I need a bunch of friends.
Yeah.
And then as you age, you're just like, yeah, no, I want my circle super small. And
Yeah.
that's what I got a super small circle right now.
Quality
But I will
versus
say
quantity.
that when I was younger, I still liked a smaller circle. Like my circle was still small, but it was a bigger small, if that makes sense. So
Yeah.
like my group of church girls is what I call them. But there was like 5 or 6 of us. And it was like, I don't know, it was like our church
It's a
group. And
I
so
had
they
the
were like
same.
my closest friends. I didn't really talk to people at school.
I had some school friends and I had some church friends, but mostly I hung out with my church friends. You know,
That was me too.
That's where we were always at church, so that's the friends I saw the most
Yeah.
and hung
Youth
out with
group.
the most.
Youth group. That's where all my memories were made.
Same.
One thing I've noticed on social media lately is this like cancel culture of friendship. Like I've seen women repost that it's like, if you're not for me, I don't have time for you in my life and I'm going to get rid of you and blah, blah, blah. And
What do they mean by that?
I'm assuming they mean like, if you're not calling to check up on me, if you're not invested in my life, I'm not going to have time for you. Like I'm just cutting you out because you're a drain on me. And I think like I understand what they mean by that.
Yeah.
But I think that's if a person is toxic. And I hate to throw that word around because that's gosh, if somebody doesn't agree with you these days, they call you toxic. But I think if you're an actually genuinely toxic person and you have friends, but you just like suck the life out of them and try to get as much as you can out of them, then by all means, cancel your toxic friends. Like if they've become a drain on you, then yes. But I think people get so caught up in their own lives that they think everyone else is just as invested in their life as they are. And you have to remember, like, everybody is the main character of their own life. And so I don't expect you, if I'm going through something, to call me every day and be like, how are you? Are you doing okay? Like,
Right.
that would be amazing. But
Yeah.
I also know that you have your own life and you have your own things going through too. And I think the difference between like a toxic friend and then like a true friend is, if you needed me, like that day you were like having a breakdown and I showed up at your doorstep with coffee, and
Yeah.
because you were like, I just want to see you and make things better. So I did.
Yeah.
And I think that's the difference, is like,
Knowing that they would drop everything to help you,
yes.
but that they don't have to be in the forefront of your vision
Right.
at every second. And that if they're not, that means they're not a good friend. They're not for you. They're not there to help you.
Yeah.
But rather, we need to,
Yeah.
get them out of our lives because they're not doing anything for me.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. Like, if people would just take a step back and realize that, like, I'm not the main character of your life,
Right.
and that's normal, and
Yeah.
that's okay. And, you're not the main character of mine. I'm not the main character of yours. And I think we just have people that are like, oh, well, so and so didn't call to check up on me, and they didn't even care about how I felt, and blah, blah, blah. Like, they probably weren't being malicious. They probably just weren't thinking about you because you're not
Right.
number one in their life.
Or going through their own stuff.
Exactly.
I had a relationship with a person who I felt this person was pulling away, and I had always been very close to this person. And I was thinking, well, what's going on? Like, did I do something? And I started to get kind of bitter. Like, I started to feel
It's
that, well,
easy
you
to
know what?
do.
It's easier to just, it's fine. No worries. I'm not going to think about them, not going to worry about them. But you dearly love this person.
Yeah.
So why not communicate that, Or honestly, I prayed about it and I talked to the Lord about it, and I felt that it was more me, that I was taking offense to something that they were going through. And instead of, taking it personally and getting bitter, I decided, you know what? I'm just going to reach out to them. And I did. And guess what? Like, they were going through their own stuff.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't about me.
Yeah. And dude, like 9 times out of 10, that's what it
Just
is.
communicate.
It's like, 9 times out of 10, it's our own self that gets in the way of good things, really,
Right.
because we get so caught up in our own minds and our own brains thinking, well, this has got to be the case. And it's not.
Or it's an insecurity that we need to work through. We need to overcome that. Or it's
Yeah. And I think that's the biggest thing, is like, nobody these days knows how to self-reflect. Like, I feel like everybody's busy and they just get caught up. And so when something goes wrong, it's just an immediate personal attack on them. Like, well, why don't you take a step back and like self-reflect?
take a breath.
And I mean, I'm not the greatest at it. Like, it's a learning process
It is.
every single time, because I hate being stretched and I hate being changed and I hate realizing that I'm not always right. But,
Yeah.
it's
It's not a pleasant feeling.
no. But it makes you a better person.
It does. It really does.
And
It
it
is
never stops either. Like, I don't think we stop growing or learning until we're dead.
Well, you're going to have a long life.
Oh, Lord, help me.
Ecclesiastes 4:9 says, two are better than one because they have a good return for their labor.
What does that mean for friendship? What do you think that means? Interpret that scripture for me, Stacy.
Because they have a good return for their labor. You can, well, it's like, there's so many times, what was that stat I had where it was talking about friendships and how sometimes it's easier to get something done when you have someone with you. Sometimes, now, I will say that the TikTok world and the culture we're in would call this ADHD.
Red flag, ADHD, red flag, ADHD. You have ADHD.
But I sometimes feel that when I'm cleaning, if I have someone just in the room, not even helping me,
I knew this is where this was going.
I get it done. Mm-hmm. So it's sometimes just having that person with you to conquer the things when you're going through a hard time.
Yeah.
You know, knowing that friend's in your corner and knowing that friend is like, hey, I'm here for you, you know, if you need me.
I will tell you, shout out to another good friend of mine who's, you know, a fairly recent friend. I didn't meet her until multiple kids into my marriage. But there was a period of time where me and my husband were going through an extremely rough patch in our marriage and like on the verge of divorce. Like it was a whole thing. And she was literally, so this is weird because I didn't tell you about that time period really until after the fact, really. And I don't know why. I just kind of like I like reclused basically.
Yeah.
And I didn't talk to you, but I talked to her.
Yeah.
And she was the only person in my life at the time that was like, you guys can do this. You guys can make it through this. Y'all are great together. You can make it. You can do it. But she basically fought for me when I was too weak to fight for myself because I had every negative thought in my head going like, we can't do this. Like, this is a lost cause. We might as well just end it. Like, we can't do it. And she was like the one person that was fighting for me. And I mean, she labored with me. She came alongside me and helped me. And
I truly feel like God places those people in your lives for that season.
Yeah.
Or not, and she wasn't just for that season.
No, yeah.
But sometimes, you know, there's certain people that also pull out certain things in you, you know?
Well, and it's funny too, because I've told her this before too. I said, I don't mean this bad, but you were the last person that I would have expected to be that for me during that time. And I have told her multiple times, I will always be grateful for her and for that friendship. And she's one that we don't talk all the time, but you know, like I said, she's a fairly new friend, just in the last several years. But when we get together, it's again, like no time has passed. So it's important to have those people that will labor with you during the hard times, even during the good times, and cleaning your house.
People who have a friend by their side while completing a tough task have less heart rate reactivity than those working alone.
Interesting. That goes right up in there with the 2 are better than 1 verse. Well,
so
let's wrap this up.
Yeah.
We've talked at the last episode and this one about being intentional.
Right.
Because you must most of the time.
With so many aspects of our lives. I the older I get, the more I realize that intention is a huge deal, and balance. Balance is honestly everything in life is a balance. And if you can kind of like, I don't know, it's just a balancing act.
Yeah.
You know, of not too much of this, not too little of this, but to kind of just find your, and I mean, I don't say that to be like, ooh, find your balance, but you know.
But I mean, with tying that into being intentional with friendships, like you don't have to meet somebody every week, you know, like you don't have to have your every weekday full of a dinner with a friend, because that would be excessively unbalanced, I feel like.
Yeah.
Especially when you have a family. But be intentional about, like for us, to spend this time together, we were like, let's intentionally make this podcast so that we have to spend time together and it becomes like a thing. And
we can put this part of our week. I mean, it's not too much time out of our schedules.
Well, another thing too was like, we don't even care if anybody ever listens to this. Like we'll
Right.
We'll put it out there and we'll, advertise for it, but
Yeah.
it doesn't matter if anybody listens to it. What matters is that we're getting together
Yeah.
and talking about things.
And it's a fun hobby.
It is fun.
And we're going to have people on this podcast. We're going to have some awesome guests.
Well,
that-
we had a whole conversation before we even started recording today that I was like, that would have been a good podcast episode.
We just had a podcast
So even
episode.
if we don't get to it in the podcast, like we're spending this time together and I think it's good.
I had a friend who listened to our first pilot episode, and she messaged me and she said, I heard your episode and I'm being intentional. And she sent me like 5 dates. She was
Aw.
like, can any of these dates work? And we did. We scheduled a date. So it's just like, honestly, if we're doing this to bring, the circle of friends, together where we do make time for each other. And like you said, like it's not seeing all the friends you can schedule on your calendar in
Right.
1 month. It's, one at a time, like, hey, I haven't talked to this person. See how they are. Let's catch up. It's good for both of you.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Set those dates. And like
the
you
date.
said, stick to it. Because
And stick to it.
I hate planning. I would so much rather somebody call me on like a Tuesday night at 9 p.m. and be like, you want to go out for a donut? I'm like, sure, let's do it.
Fly by the seat of our pants.
But if you plan something with me, I am going to dread it until the day of. And it's not it's not anything against you. I just hate planning, and probably an ADHD red flag. I think it has something to do with that. But because I always am fine. Like I plan something, dread it all the way up to it. And then when it happens, I enjoy it. I just never want to do it.
I understand that feeling. And then two, we've talked about this a lot, where when somebody cancels, you're like, oh. I've seen so many memes about that. So
God.
I know we're not alone.
Can take my pants back off now.
But to stick to it, just make it happen. Even if it's uncomfortable, even if you don't feel like it, do it, because you will always end up feeling like you're glad that you did. Most of the time. I'm sure there's some instances maybe where people might not.
I can't
Most
think of
of the
any. Most
time-
of the time, it ends up being good.
When I push myself to do something, it always ends up right. So, well, I think that's the end of our episode 1.
we did
I
it.
think we did it.
Episode 1. Official. Official.
Efficient.
The official first episode.
I mean, I think it was a little more serious.
I think so too.
And I think some of our podcasts will be super funny. Mm-hmm. And some of our
Podcast.
podcasts will be more, some of our episodes will be on lighthearted, and some will be kind of harder topics, maybe?
Yes. So on that note, what's coming?
We do have our first guest coming soon.
Are we saying who?
Do we want to say?
Probably you say, because I don't remember who was first.
Our friend, mutual friend that we have, Jennifer Cunningham.
Yes.
She also has a podcast. We're going to bring her on as a guest. She's awesome. She has 2 kids. She also homeschools. So I think we will be talking about all the things motherhood and homeschooling, and maybe the balance between the two, because I feel like as a homeschool mom, you kind of have to balance being a mom and also guiding them through their studies. Yeah.
Unlike what I've done this week.
You're doing great.
Flashcards. That's all we did.
We did flashcards. We also have our kids. We're going to have a couple of our kids coming on for a couple episodes.
Oh my gosh. And
They're
they're
excited.
so ready. They were asking while we were setting up today, is it time for us? We're like, no, you have like weeks.
Can you be on the episode today?
Oh, I'm excited though about the husband episode. We're going to
Yeah.
have that.
That's
And
coming
then-
soon. We're just going to bring our friends on and the
Yeah.
people we know. And
Because
you know?
they're the celebrities of our lives. Oh, that should be a t-shirt.
you're the celebrity.
If they come onto our podcast, they get a shirt that says you're the celebrity of my life.
Yes.
Don't hold me to that, but that would be cool.
That would be cool.
Anyways,
So
I'm excited.
I'm
It's going to
excited
be good.
too. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for listening this far in this episode.
Yeah, this was a big
maybe a
one.
long one, and I don't know, maybe a serious one, but we're really glad that you stayed, and we're excited to get together with you again.
Yeah. And
So-
we will, I guess, catch you at the next get-together.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you.
Thank you. Okay, for real. Bye.